Here's a topic that many people don't want to think about, let alone speak about it out loud. What happens after you die? No, not whether you go up or down, but what happens to what you leave behind? Your home, vacation home, rentals, home bank account, automobiles, cash, collectibles, retirement accounts, Social Security, minor children, and other loved ones. I see the outcome of when someone does not plan properly. It can get ugly, really ugly. The deceased can lose their assets due to lack of planning or improper planning. The state wants their money. The feds do too. Creditors, family members, some whom the deceased didn't even know existed or have been estranged for years, and they fight over what they believe they are entitled to. Ugly, ugly, very, very ugly. Joe lived with his mom because he was her caretaker as her health declined. Joe's mom finally passed away. She had a will. She owned her home, but had refinanced it to do some updates and repairs to it, so there was a lien against it. Joe's mom left the home to Joe and his sister, who was married with adult children and living out of state. His mom's intention was that Joe would remain in the home with full ownership and right to reside there. Guess what? Joe was in a difficult position because the plan was not in place. In fact, the mortgage complicated his mom's wishes. Joe could not afford to buy the home from the estate, not even half of the home, and there was that mortgage on it that was now due on demand. Joe wasn't in the position to pay the mortgage. The estate was not well funded to pay the mortgage, and the bank escalated the demand for sale, and the home went into foreclosure. Now, the estate could have sold the home before foreclosure, paid off the mortgage from the proceeds, and put the remaining proceeds into the estate, so Joe wouldn't have been completely out. But no one knew what to do or who to talk to, so they lost the home. It's things like that that just break my heart. Then there are those who think that they are doing the wise thing, like adding their beneficiary to the deed or the bank account before their death, and then finding out that there are complications or unwanted issues that cost the estate or become legal issues and tax implications. Joanna thought that by adding her adult daughter, Celia, to the deed of her home that she owned outright and to her bank account, she was planning for when she was either incapacitated or she died. Since there was no legal plan in place when Joanna did pass on, Celia just operated from the expectation that she was doing the right thing by keeping up the bills and living in the home. She soon found out that it was a bit more complicated, and it almost cost her losing the home, which was the real asset that her mom left behind. I also see homeowners who have adult children who want to take control of decisions before their parent dies. These adult children begin to bully their parents, make decisions that may not be what the parent actually wants, but the parent loses the battle with the adult children over decisions that they should have made when they had the capacity or courage to do so. That's why I want to urge you to do some estate planning. Estate planning is an important part of financial planning to protect your hard-earned assets and provide for your family in the event of your death. It involves creating a plan to ensure the safe transfer of your assets to your adult children or other beneficiaries upon your death. Estate planning is also beneficial to your adult children because it can help them avoid legal complications and reduce the tax liability on the inherited assets. So, do you need an estate plan? Well, if you answer yes to any of these questions, you need a plan. Do you own a home? Do you have assets over $150,000? Now remember, your home is an asset. Do you have minor children? Do you have adult children that you want to make decisions for you or for you to leave behind inheritance for them? Do you have relatives that will be coming out of the closet that you don't want making decisions for you or getting a hold of your estate assets? If you're incapacitated, what happens to your personal assets? Who makes decisions for you? Sometimes it's not the person that you want to make a decision for you because you have not legally provided the authority for them to do so. While I am not an estate planner, I do recommend that everyone who buys a home creates an estate plan, review their assets and desires for what happens if you become incapacitated or die. Thereafter, your plan should be reviewed every 3 to 5 years or when something changes in your life. Did you just sell a home? Did you buy a home? Did you buy a vacation or rental home? Did you get married, get divorced, adopt a child, have a baby? Have your children reached age 18? What happens if your spouse dies or becomes incapacitated? Do you have what you need in order to take over? What happens if you get remarried following a death of a spouse and you have adult children? These are all important questions that many don't see the future impact, so they either ignore it, put it off, or don't think planning applies to them. Believe me, even if you are living paycheck to paycheck with a home or minor children, this is important. My recommendation right now today is to put estate planning on your list of things to do and put a date on it that you will have this done by. Otherwise, you might not get to it, and it is important. I've seen too many people get into a situation where they lose their homes and assets, and it could have been prevented. If you need a recommendation for professional estate planners, give me a call.